10 small boats. No AIS. Closing fast on a U.S. warship starboard in the Caribbean night. You clicked for Venezuela versus the Navy. This is exactly that moment. They look civilian, so the rules of engagement choke the trigger finger. Then the first RPG streaks. LR sound walls, a Hello searchlight, and finally a Harrier's jet blast turned into a weapon. But the swarm regroups, and a reinforced bow lines up a ram. Did air power and CIWS surface mode stop a billion-dollar ship from being boxed in? Or did ROE almost hand the enemy a win?
Unrelated to that story, but Fox News saying breaking, U.S. military has seized a fifth oil tanker in the Caribbean. Working with Homeland Security, the military used several massive warships to surround the vessel and stop, quote, illegal activity near our borders. The U.S. Navy and Marine Corps carried out a surprise early morning mission to stop and take control of a Russian oil tanker.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Why does a billion-dollar ship hesitate when 10 cheap boats sprint straight at it at night? Because the gap between what you see and what you're allowed to shoot decides who owns the next minute. You, on the bridge, feel that minute stretch. No AIS pings. The scope shows mixed traffic, coasters, shrimpers, and dark blips that don't talk. Starboard quarter, wooden hulls ride the chop and tuck into the ship's clutter. ROE demands positive ID, so the watch team works the checklist. Hails on VHF. White spotlight cones sweep. The long-range acoustic device throws a 150 dB wall of warning.
Showing that this again is coming from Secretary Kristi Noem with the Department of Homeland Security. You can see the seizure of the ship there. Details that you can capture here in those images. And Secretary Noem writing alongside the video, quote, "The world's criminals are on notice. Executed a boarding and seizure of the motor tanker Alina in international waters east of the Caribbean Sea."
The boats hold course. They hold speed. They do not answer. The clock becomes a weapon. Every second spent proving intent is a second lost to geometry. The small craft knife inside 2,000 yards, then 1,000, then numbers that make your gunners curse. You can hear the water slap their planks between the Hello's rotors and the PA. The swarm rides your blind spots like it was planned, because it was. Here's the part that hurts your sensors. Wooden hulls don't bounce radar like steel. Low profile, low radar cross-section, and they sit in the sea clutter band. White noise made of waves, spray, and your own wake. Meanwhile, your wake creates blind arcs off the stern quarters where returns smear and tracks break. Close in. The mast and superstructure shadow your own cameras at hard angles. The boats live in the seams between your tools. ROE in peacetime, transit locks you to a narrow lane. You can apply force when you see a hostile act or clear hostile intent. That means a weapon up, a turn to ram, or an action that cannot be mistaken for civilian behavior. Attackers know this, so they mirror what local boats do at night. No AIS, erratic headings, close passes near a big ship that throws trash, fish, and warmth into the water. They match a normal signature and force you to hold fire while they close. It's chess in a crowd. Your queen can strike, but pawns in civilian close block every lane. You need a board that shows black and white. The sea gives you gray. The longer you stare, the smaller the board gets.
As another, quote, ghost fleet tanker ship suspected of carrying embargoed oil. This vessel had departed Venezuela. The ghost fleets will not outrun justice. They will not hide under false claims of nationality. The Coast Guard will see with the Department of War, State Department, and the DOJ ensured a safe, effective boarding consistent with law.
Now add the local pattern. In these waters, small craft often run AIS dark. Batteries die. Boxes get lost. Signals get spoofed. Fishing fleets mix licensed hulls with off-book tenders. For your radar and AIS picture, a non-emitting contact is common. Statistically normal, not automatically hostile. That normal buys the swarm a mile, then half a mile, then 100 yards of space you will not get back. The bridge team works every non-lethal rung. Whistle blasts. Sirens. A course change to throw an ugly wake across their bows. The helicopter drops to low hover, searchlight slicing spray and shadow. Still, the boats hold formation. Two slant in on your starboard quarter. One drifts a beam, lazy like a fisherman. One bears for the stern gate where your cameras flare. Then a flash. The first RPG burns the night, and you don't need a law degree anymore. ROE flips in a heartbeat from caution to combat. The call goes out. Stations answer. The deck wakes up. And there it is, the trap you were forced to play. The attackers made you prove intent under legal pressure while they stole time and distance, shifting the fight into a range where their cheap hull survive the first punch and your big sensors lose their edge. You still have guns, rotor wash, and a short window to restore tempo without lighting the sea lane on fire. Now that the switch is thrown, can disciplined fire and non-kinetic air power break a swarm built to live in the gray zone? The helo hovers. The crew chiefs point. The CIWS crews lean in for surface mode. The next minute decides who breathes.
Enforce U.S. and international law and eliminate these funding streams for illicit activity, including narco-terrorism. That is a statement here coming in from Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security for the United States. Now, we also know we are deeply proud of the Coast Guard's Maritime Fighting Force for their relentless execution of this mission.
How do you break a civilian-massed swarm without turning the sea lane into a graveyard? You use force that moves water and air before you move metal. You claw back time without stacking bodies. The ship escalates. The 25mm chain guns cough. The .50 calories thump, and tracers stitch bright ribs across dark water. But the swell ruins rhythm, and the boats zig on contact, snap off throttle, then dart again. The swarm splits into two wings. One drifts wide off starboard to rake the bridge line. One hugs the wake near the stern where mounts struggle to depress. Your arcs don't match their angles. Your volume doesn't equal hits. A mothership with a reinforced bow bears into ram mid-hull, where plating is thin and systems run dense. Oil slick blooms. Spray shreds vision. Shock from near misses rattles optics and knocks camera focus off center. The task force compresses into its own danger zone. Steel and prop wash boxing friendlies while the rammer sets the cue. The bridge plays the gambit. Hard over. Rudder bites. The hull throws a punishing wake that rolls like a wall and cuts across the swarm's path. Deck crews brace on knees and rails. You trade firing stability for breathing space. Gunners lose clean lines for a beat, but attackers lose aim and footing longer. Boats yaw, pitch, and bury their bows into the white water. Firing hands flinch. Triggers slack. Meanwhile, the CIWS crew flips to surface mode. This configuration was built for close, dirty work, short range, direct line, high-rate fire. The set locks a hot outline with its infrared eye, then spools. What leaves the barrels is not warning. It's a dense stream of 20mm tungsten that chews wood, light steel, and engines, a wall of metal that turns small hulls into leaking boxes when they cross the line. Air arrives low. The Harrier slides down the ship's beam and works the water, not the boats. The pilot holds a hover over the lead cluster and aims the jet blast into the surface. The sheeted air slams spray and grits sideways like a hammer. Light cabins split. Tarp roofs rip. Exposed wires and jury-rigged radios cook. Crews duck and grab rails or go down on their backs. No missiles. No rockets. Just raw thrust and downwash braking hands, optics, and nerve. This is crowd control at sea. High-energy jet wash and rotor downwash saturate space with punishment that doesn't fragment. It denies the firing line, blinds with spray, and kills circuits under salt and heat. It buys seconds. It buys yards. It keeps the lane from turning into a debris field you don't want to explain to the next fishing crew.
Said to be in the Eastern Caribbean earlier today, DHS saying that a departed Venezuela suspected of carrying embargoed oil is releasing large numbers of political prisoners as a sign of seeking peace. I've canceled the previously expected second wave of attacks. Remember, this happened a lot this week, several times already. It comes as President Trump is revealing his next steps for.
But then the swarm rallies. Engines rev through the chop. The shooters lift again. The mothership straightens her nose and drives for midships. The CIWS spins, louder, steady. You can sense the last few seconds, tight and heavy. The combined effect lands. Jet blast breaks formation, scattering the screen that fed the rammer a lane. CIWS in surface mode opens and tears the reinforced bow into shards, bites through engine blocks and tanks, and stops the push cold. Charges aboard the rammer cook off and pops and dull thuds short of a hull breach. Fire licks and dies on the water. The ship keeps steerage and deck ops, but takes scars, blistered sensors, bent rails, antennas knocked dumb by salt and shock. You've seen the playbook: gray zone approach, non-kinetic riposte, then hard steel. What would you do? Authorize guns sooner or double down on air wash? Comment your choice below. If you want to understand the tactical mindset that wins these battles, subscribe now. The real target wasn't steel. It was the decision loop. Swarms gamed ROE and stole minutes. Air Power and CIWS took those minutes back without a missile exchange. That's the lesson you carry. Tempo wins, even when the contact looks civilian. So what should lead in the gray zone? Faster ROE triggers that define hostile intent earlier, more non-kinetic air on call to smash firing lines without wrecking the lane, or autonomous picket drones that flag threats before they touch your wake. Comment your choice below and subscribe. Modern sea fights start in the gray. Subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict.